Hi, this is Ant from Speakerstack Music. In today's video we're going to continue with making a dance track in 100 minutes using Ableton's Arrangement View, working in Ableton 10, and today's video is going to focus on adding some lead guitar into the song. So because it's a lead guitar, it's a live instrument, we need to add in an audio channel or an audio track into the song. So right click and insert audio track, and now we're going to go in and we're going to arm the track, and I'm going to start recording some lead guitar into the song. Fantastic. So we've captured some lead guitar. What I'm going to do now is double up on that lead guitar by playing exactly the same thing but using a slightly different tone on the guitar. So I'm going to drop in another audio track. Just tidy that up a bit. I'm going to arm that track and I'm going to play in exactly the same lead guitar line but with a slightly different tone, and it'll just thicken up the sound and make the guitar more prominent in the mix. Fantastic. So we've got two recordings of guitar there, each playing the same thing. Let's just play that back and see how it sounds. Yeah, sounding pretty good. I've panned both of those guitars off to either side so that it's coming through in a bit more of that kind of stereo mix. And I've lowered the volume on both those guitars because I don't really want them to be prominent in the song. It's kind of something that I want in the gaps when the rest of the stuff drops out. So I'm going to have them in there, and then I'm actually going to have them at the end of the tune again. Let's just see if that works. Let's just try it there, and again I'm just going to copy that and paste it in there, and let's just have a quick blast of this and see if that works at the end of the song. stuff. I think I quite like the way that the guitars come in on that first bit of that end section of the song and then drop out for that final blast out on the acid house synth. So a couple more things we're going to do to the guitar. Just add in some compression. Oops, just drop it into channel 13. And again, just want to take off the rough edges on these guitars. So what compression is really good at doing is it will level out the peaks and troughs that you get on those high levels of the sound, and just make the top end of the sound consistent on the bits that are coming through as louder. So we can have a play around with that and just make that sound a bit more smoother. One thing that we can do using the arrangement view is loop a section of the song, which I'm just going to do now, just for the purposes of putting some more production on these guitars. So I've dropped some compression on. I've also dropped in a bit of chorus as well. Again, chorus is really good at just lifting the sound and just repositioning it further back in the mix, so it doesn't sound as trebly and doesn't cut through as much, as I really want it to kind of blend in. And the third and final thing I'm just going to do to both of these guitars is I'm going to add in some EQ8. Actually, the chorus needs to be at the end, because with these effects, you want what's known as the corrective effects first, and that will be things like your EQ and reverb. And then you want your modulating and enhancing effects coming after. So that will be things like the chorus. So we're going to start off with the EQ, then we're going to have the reverb, and then we're going to have the EQ8. And I'm just going to play the recordings and just make sure we've got the right level of reverb set in the mix. Cool, that's sounding pretty good. Right, now we're going to have a look at the EQ next, just to make sure that we've got the guitar sound sitting in the right frequency for the track. Okay, so we're going to have a look at the frequency now on both of the guitars, and just need to make sure that we've got the this section looped, so it'll keep going round and round. Again, with the EQ, we want to take everything off the bottom end in those sub frequencies on both guitars. So I'm going to go on, actually just going to quickly rename those. Guitar 1 and guitar 2, then we know what we're looking at. So for guitar 1, do a high pass filter at around 100 Hertz. Do the same for guitar 2. And then we just need to roll off some of the higher frequencies again. So not quite as sharp a filter, but again, just roll off some of those higher frequencies. rolling off those higher frequencies on both of those. Let's just have a quick playback and see how that sounds. Superb, that's sounding great, and the guitar is sounding, it's got a nice tone to it, it's got a soft sound to it, and it's sitting back in the mix a bit, so it's not there as a prominent part of the mix. Not everything needs to be at the forefront of the sound that you're having coming out as part of the track. I am just going to do a quick EQ sweep on both of the guitars just to see how they sound and make sure there's no kind of harsh frequencies. And you do that by dropping in a further couple of EQ8s into both of the guitar tracks. So I'm just going to do that now. Drop one into guitar 1 and then drop one into guitar 2. And we're going to have a look at those frequencies and pan through them. And I'm going to show you how you do that in a second. And that will show us whether there's any kind of harsh frequencies that we have to kind of bring out of the sound. Okay, so we're going to go and dive into guitar 1. I'm going to solo the track. We've dropped in a second EQ, but this isn't going to be a as intrusive as the first EQ8 that we put in. This is literally just to seek out and then filter out those harsh frequencies that we might be finding coming through on some of the audio that we're playing. So I'm going to do a sweep, what's known as an EQ sweep on this, and we're going to select one of these to use, and I'm going to use the number 3, and you just change the setting on it. Hopefully that will give us something which is a bit more dramatic. Let's just have a play around. I think that should give us it. Right, I'm going to now play back track 1, and we're just going to see if we can sweep through. What you essentially do is you change the setting to one of these symbols, and then you literally drag from right to left, and you'll pretty much hear where the sound is pretty harsh, and then you just essentially bring out that and cut it out of the mix. So really just looking to see if we can try and identify it. I don't think there's too much going on here, but I think there's a little bit around this part. Just starting to sound a little bit nasty there, so let's just roll that off. And let's go on to the second guitar. Just change the symbol up of that so it's not quite so harsh. Just stop that. So I used a slightly different approach to this because it was coming across in in a bit of a broader part of the frequency. So I've actually done a gentler curve here just so we can capture some more of that and just roll it off. So let's just see how those are both sounding now. Fantastic. So we've added in some lead guitar, 2 different takes of lead guitar, which are doubled up on the same guitar line. We've applied some effects to it, some EQ8 to cut out the lower and upper frequencies, some reverb and some chorus just to set it back in the mix. And I just wanted to bring up the volume just slightly in that last playthrough. But what I did, rather than actually increasing the volume, I just rolled back the reverb a little bit on both of the tracks. So there's things you can do like that rather than trying to rebalance the volume in the mixer section of Ableton. You know, there are other tricks you can do just to bring the sound forward in the mix. And rolling off things like the reverb, just applying a little bit less of that as an effect, can have the same effect as turning down the volume, but without having to rebalance everything else in the mix. So again, we can play around with the volume of the guitar as we move forward, but we wanted to get some guitar in there, and that's now recorded and in the track. So that's the end of the video. Thank you for watching. If you liked the content, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. In the next video, we're going to be adding in some LFO synths into the mix, and that will pretty much complete most of the instruments that we actually want to put in this track. And then it will be a case of going back into the song and actually having a look at the structure and just moving things around in the same way that we would do with that session view in Ableton, just to make sure that we're happy with the structure. Putting in a little bit more rhythm into the song, which we can, you know, do because we've actually got it set up as loops, so we can add extra notes, extra bits of rhythm, extra bits of the drum kit into the song. And then we'll move on and we'll do the final mixing and mastering. So thank you again for listening and watching, and I will see you in the next video.